The wedding day of Thomas's daughter, Sharon, was just a year away, and things weren't going as planned. Thomas had inherited a large piece of farmland from his father, a legacy he had always been proud of. His farm, though a bit bigger than most, had always been his pride and joy. Over the years, he expanded the land, working tirelessly to provide for his family. But now, despite all his hard work, the farm was in crisis. The pests were destroying his tomato crops, and much of the harvest was rotting away. The debt was mounting, and the money he had set aside for Sharon's wedding was slipping through his fingers. Thomas had always believed in the value of hard work. He had inherited a substantial farm, one that allowed him to grow his tomatoes and scale up his efforts. But no matter how much he worked, the pests kept coming, and his harvests kept dwindling. To keep things going, he had borrowed money, hoping that things would improve. But with every new loan, his situation only seemed to worsen. His wife, Maria, was growing increasingly concerned. "Maybe it's time we sell part of the farm," she suggested, her voice filled with worry. "At least we can secure Sharon's wedding and get out of this debt." But Thomas wasn't ready to give up on the land that had been in his family for generations. He knew something had to change, but he wasn't sure where to turn. Just when Thomas was starting to lose hope, Joe, a local tech farmer, came to the village with a new idea. Joe had been advocating for the use of technology in farming, offering solutions for pest control, crop preservation, and better yields. All things that could potentially save Thomas's farm. At first, the village was skeptical. No one thought that technology could work for them, especially when they had been farming the same way for so long. But with his back against the wall, Thomas made a decision. He chose to take a risk. He sold 20% of his land to invest in Joe's technological solutions. It wasn't an easy decision. Letting go of part of the farm that had been in his family for so long was difficult. But he realized it was the only way forward. The learning curve was steep. Thomas struggled to get the hang of the new tools and systems. It was frustrating, and for a moment, he questioned whether he had made the right choice. But slowly, he began to see the results. The pests started to disappear, and the tomatoes began to thrive again. With his farm improving, Thomas realized that he wasn't the only one in the village facing these challenges. He reached out to the other farmers, sharing his experience and showing them how they could benefit from the same technology that had saved his farm. Together, they pooled their resources and found lasting solutions for crop preservation. It wasn't just about saving his own farm anymore. It was about helping the entire community thrive. As Sharon's wedding day approached, Thomas found himself in a much better place. His farm was successful, the financial pressures had eased, and Sharon's wedding went off without a hitch. It was a beautiful celebration of family, love, and the strength that had pulled them through the toughest times. But Thomas didn't stop there. With his farm flourishing, he became a mentor to the other farmers in the village. He taught them how to use the technology that had made all the difference for him. By helping others, he created a lasting impact in the community, and his legacy grew beyond just his own farm. Thomas's journey was one of resilience, innovation, and the willingness to take a leap of faith. He learned that sometimes the old ways aren't enough to overcome new challenges. Embracing change, trusting in innovation, and collaborating with others can open doors to new possibilities. Thomas went from a struggling farmer to a leader in his community, showing that even in the most difficult times, there is always a way forward if you're willing to adapt and grow. Key business lessons. 1. Adapt to change. In a fast-evolving world, sticking to old methods may not always work. Thomas had to embrace new technology to overcome his farming challenges, showing the importance of adaptability. Second, smart investments. When facing financial difficulties, Thomas made the decision to invest in technology rather than continuing to borrow money. Sometimes, the right investment can turn a business around. 3. Community collaboration. By sharing his knowledge and helping others, Thomas strengthened the entire community. In business, success isn't just about individual growth. It's about lifting others with you. 4. Resilience pays off. Thomas faced many setbacks, but his determination and resilience helped him push through. In business, success often comes down to not giving up when things seem impossible. The power of education. By teaching others, Thomas ensured that his knowledge lived on. As a business leader, mentoring others can create lasting impact and help grow your community or industry.
That's it for today's lesson. If you found this helpful, like, comment, and subscribe to keep learning. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep building your business.